Have you ever had that feeling where you're not in the driver's seat of your own life anymore, where this deep, bone-deep exhaustion has taken over, and you're just kind of going through the motions? If any of that sounds familiar, then stick with me. We're going to break down how you can start reclaiming that role as the architect of your own life. Okay, let's dive in. And we're going to start right here with this really core message. You don't have to achieve anything. You just have to be present. And this is so important because this isn't about pushing harder, right? It's not about finding some new productivity hack. It's about giving yourself permission. Permission to just stop, to feel, to understand, and to rebuild, really slowly and kindly. Now, before we go any further, a really important point. This is absolutely non-negotiable. Burnout is a serious medical condition, and while what we're talking about here is designed to support that recovery journey, it is no substitute for professional medical help. So please, your very first step should always be to talk to your doctor. Okay, so let's get into what is probably the single most important mindset shift you can make right from the get-go. It's a total reframing of what you might be going through. And this metaphor just says it all, doesn't it? You're not broken, you're not a faulty machine, it's just physics. You're a system that has been giving out energy constantly without taking any in, and eventually any system like that is going to hit zero. This is a biological reality, not some kind of character flaw. So the very first thing to do is just let go of any of that self-blame. So how do you even know you're running on empty? The thing is, burnout doesn't just show up one day out of the blue. It kind of announces itself. And learning to hear those signals is the very first step toward changing course. See, your body communicates in stages. At first, it's just whispers. Maybe you're not enjoying your hobbies as much, or you find yourself with a much shorter fuse. If we ignore those whispers, it starts to protest. That's when you get the bad sleep, the brain fog, that constant feeling of being overwhelmed. And if we try to push through that, we hit collapse. The system just can't function anymore. Knowing where you are on this spectrum, that's really powerful information. And to really get why this happens, we kind of have to look under the hood at the biology of stress. It's not a mystery, really. It's a predictable, physical process that's happening inside your body. This researcher, Hans Selye, he mapped it out perfectly. It starts with the alarm phase. Your body is flooded with stress hormones. You feel kind of tired but wired, and you might even be super productive. Then you slip into the resistance phase. Now, this can go on for months, even years. You look fine on the outside, but you're burning through your reserves, and your immune system is taking a hit. And finally, the exhaustion phase. The battery is completely empty. The system shuts down. It's just the inevitable outcome of ignoring those first two phases. Okay, so how do we actually start to rebuild? The answer isn't something complex. It's actually about getting back to the absolute basics. This is all about laying a brand new foundation, and it's built on 3 really simple but powerful principles. And there's that idea again, right? You can't achieve your way out of exhaustion. You can't hustle your way to recovery. It begins the very second you give yourself permission to do what your body is literally screaming for. So what are these 3 permissions? First up is rest. And for a lot of us, especially high achievers, this is the hardest one. But here's the science. Rest is what activates your body's rest and digest mode. And that is the only state, literally the only one, where your body can do things like repair cells, balance hormones, and recover your immune system. Without real rest, you are biologically blocked from healing. Simple as that. Second, routine or regularity. Think of it this way. An exhausted nervous system is like a security guard on high alert, constantly scanning for threats. Predictability tells that guard, hey, you're safe, you can stand down. Super simple things, like going to bed and waking up at the same time, having meals at regular times, that predictability calms the whole system down, and it frees up so much energy for recovery. And the third one is Reinheit, or think of it as cleanliness. But this is not just about having a tidy desk. It's about reducing noise. The digital noise from your phone buzzing all the time, the relational noise from people who drain you, the mental noise from constant worry. Every little bit of that static costs your system energy. By reducing it, you free up your capacity to heal. Now, here's something that's really interesting. The source material points out that the path into burnout and also the path out of it can often look pretty different for men and women. And that's due to a mix of biology and, social conditioning. So for men, burnout often shows up as things like irritability, cynicism, or
maybe escapist behaviors like overworking or gaming. And the recovery path is often found through structured, meaningful action, kind of treating recovery like a project. For women, on the other hand, it often manifests as just deep, deep fatigue and this intense guilt about not being able to care for others. And recovery is often really powered by safe connection and just talking things through. Now, of course, these are generalizations, but they can be a pretty useful lens to look through.
Okay, so we've laid the foundation with those 3 Rs: rest, routine, and reinhide. Now we get to shift our focus from just surviving to consciously rebuilding. This is where you get to step back into your power. And I just love this metaphor. Think about it. An architect never starts a project by just throwing bricks around. They start with a vision, with a blueprint. Those 3 Rs, that's not the house. That's the essential work of clearing the ground and pouring a solid foundation. But you can't build a house you love without knowing what you want it to look like. The next step is all about creating that vision. So here's the most crucial point. Please see this moment not as some kind of failure, but as evidence. It's evidence of your incredible capacity to give, and it's an urgent invitation to learn how to give to yourself. This is not an ending. It's the beginning of building something more sustainable, more authentic, and just more alive. And that's really what we want to leave you with. This whole thing isn't about just rebuilding your old life exactly the way it was. I mean, that's what led here, right? It's about taking the wisdom from this collapse to build something new. So the question is, now that you have this new, solid foundation beneath you, what's the very first, small, intentional stone that you want to place?